Hello there. You're trapped, aren't you? Trapped in the past. In what you did or didn't do. In the mistakes you made. In the choices you regret. In the version of reality that never happened but could have, if only you'd done things differently. You replay it, over and over. That moment, that choice, that mistake. Imagining how things could have been different. How your life could have turned out better if only you'd made a different choice. If only you'd known then what you know now. If only you'd been smarter, wiser, stronger. And you're stuck there, in that moment, in that regret, in that version of reality that could have been but wasn't. Unable to move forward, unable to let go, unable to forgive yourself for being human and making human mistakes. The guilt is heavy. The regret is consuming. The what-ifs are endless. What if I'd done that differently? What if I'd made a better choice? What if I'd been better? What would my life look like now? How much better would things be? And living in those what-ifs is keeping you from living in what actually is. Keeping you from moving forward. Keeping you from creating new patterns and new possibilities. Because you're too busy mourning what could have been to notice what still can be. Take a breath with me. Just one breath. And as you exhale, release some of that guilt, some of that regret, some of that attachment to a past that can't be changed, and a reality that never existed. Let your shoulders drop. Let your body soften. Let yourself be here in the present, not trapped in the unchangeable past. Tonight, we're going to talk about something essential. About letting go of past mistakes. About releasing attachment to what could have been. About forgiving yourself for being human and imperfect. About creating new patterns instead of staying stuck in old regrets. Because here's the truth. You can't change the past. No amount of guilt will undo what happened. No amount of regret will create the reality that could have been. No amount of self-punishment will make you worthy of forgiveness. The past is done. The choices are made. The mistakes happened. And they can't be unmade. That version of reality where you made different choices, where things turned out better, where you were wiser or stronger or better, it doesn't exist. It never existed. It's a fantasy your mind created by looking backward with present knowledge. So living in that fantasy, mourning that non-existent reality, punishing yourself for not creating something that was never possible with the awareness you had then, that's keeping you stuck. That's preventing growth. That's stealing your present and your future. Tonight, let's work on letting go, on releasing the past, on forgiving yourself for being human, on accepting what was, so you can create what can be, on releasing old patterns of guilt and regret, so you can create new patterns of growth and forward movement. You deserve to be free from the past. You deserve to forgive yourself. You deserve to move forward. Not because the past doesn't matter, but because staying stuck in unchangeable history serves no one, least of all you. So let's begin the work of letting go, of releasing, of forgiving, of moving forward. Tonight. Now. Starting here. You know what keeps you stuck in the past? The belief that if you just punish yourself enough, if you feel guilty enough, if you regret intensely enough, somehow that will make up for what you did. Somehow that will earn you the right to forgive yourself and move forward. But it doesn't work that way. Self-punishment doesn't undo mistakes. Guilt doesn't change the past. Regret doesn't create different outcomes. It just keeps you stuck. Suffering over what can't be changed. Imprisoned by what's already done. You've been carrying this guilt for how long? Months? Years? Decades? And has it changed anything? Has the past shifted? Have different outcomes materialized? Has your suffering undone what happened? No. It's just kept you stuck in pain, prevented you from growing, stopped you from moving forward. Because that's what unresolved guilt does. It freezes you in the moment of the mistake. You can't move past that point. You're stuck there, replaying it, regretting it, wishing it were different, but never actually moving beyond it. And here's what's cruel about guilt. It makes you think you don't deserve to move forward until you've suffered enough, until you've paid for your mistakes with sufficient pain, until you've proven through punishment that you're sorry enough to deserve forgiveness. But who decides when you've suffered enough? Who determines when you've paid sufficiently? When you've been punished adequately? There's no meter, no measurement, no point at which guilt says, okay, you've suffered enough, you can forgive yourself now. So you just keep suffering indefinitely. Because you don't know when it's enough. Because guilt doesn't have an end point. Because self-punishment is infinite, unless you consciously choose to stop it. And that's what you need to do. Choose to stop. Not because you've suffered enough. Not because you've earned forgiveness through pain, but because continued suffering serves no purpose, changes nothing, helps no one, including you. The past can't be changed. That's just reality. What happened, happened. What you did, you did. What you chose, you chose. with the awareness you had then, with the person you were then, with the circumstances that existed then. And you can't go back with present knowledge. You can't redo those moments with current wisdom. You can't remake those choices with hindsight. That's not possible. That's not how time works. That's not how reality functions. So the only question is, what do you do now with the unchangeable past? With the mistakes that were made, with the person you were and the choices you made with limited awareness and human imperfection? Do you stay stuck, punishing yourself indefinitely, living in regret, mourning what could have been? Or do you accept what was, learn from it, and move forward? Do you forgive yourself for being human? Do you release the past so you can create a different future? Because those are your only options. Stay stuck in unchangeable history, or accept it and move forward. Suffer indefinitely over what can't be changed, or learn, grow, and create something different going forward. Staying stuck doesn't serve anyone, doesn't undo anything, doesn't make anything better. It just keeps you imprisoned in the past, unable to grow, unable to change, unable to create new patterns and new outcomes. So choose forward movement. Choose learning over suffering. Choose growth over punishment. Choose forgiveness over endless guilt. Not because you've earned it, but because staying stuck serves no purpose. And you deserve to move forward, to grow, to create new patterns, to build a different future. Let's talk about what could have been. That fantasy version of reality where you made different choices, where things turned out better, where you were wiser or stronger or more aware. You're deeply attached to that version, that unrealized possibility, that road not taken, and you mourn it as if it were real, as if it actually existed and was taken from you, as if you lost something tangible rather than just an imagined alternative. But here's the truth. That version never existed. It was never real. It was never a lived reality. It's a construction, a fantasy your mind created by applying present knowledge to past situations, by imagining what you would do now if you could go back then. But you can't. You can't go back with present knowledge. You can't remake past choices with current wisdom. So that fantasy version where you made better choices, it was never possible. Because the you that existed then didn't have the awareness to make those choices. The better choices require the wisdom you gained from making the worse choices. So you're mourning something that was never real, attached to a possibility that never actually existed. Grieving a loss that never happened, because the thing you think you lost was never there in the first place. And that attachment, that mourning, that grief over what could have been, it's keeping you from seeing what still can be. It's keeping you from accepting what is. It's keeping you from moving forward and creating new possibilities. Because as long as you're looking backward at imagined alternatives, you can't look forward at actual possibilities. As long as you're attached to fantasy versions of the past, you can't engage with real versions of the future. As long as you're mourning what could have been, you can't create what can be. So you need to let it go. That fantasy version, that imagined alternative, that if only reality. Let it go. Not because it wasn't beautiful, not because you shouldn't have wanted better, but because it was never real, never possible, never an actual option. You made the choices you made, with the awareness you had, with the person you were, with the circumstances that existed. And those choices created this reality, not the imagined alternative. This one, the actual one, the real one, the one you're living. And this reality, this actual lived experience, it has possibilities, real possibilities. Not imagined alternatives to the past, but actual options for the future. Things you can actually do, choices you can actually make, outcomes you can actually create. But you can't access those possibilities while you're mourning imagined pasts. You can't engage with real futures while you're attached to fantasy alternatives. You have to let go of what could have been to see what can be. So release it. That imagined version where you made better choices. That fantasy reality where things turned out differently. That if-only timeline that never existed. Let it go. Accept what was, what actually happened, the actual choices, the real outcomes, the lived reality, not the fantasy alternative, the actual experience. Accept it. Not because it was perfect, not because you wouldn't have wanted different, but because it was real. And reality is what you have to work with. From acceptance of what was, you can create what can be. From releasing attachment to fantasy pasts, you can engage with real futures. From letting go of what could have been, you can discover what still can be. That's forward movement. That's growth. That's healing. Not in changing the past, but in accepting it. Not in achieving fantasy alternatives, but in releasing them. Not in undoing what was, but in creating what can be. So let go of what could have been, of imagined alternatives, of fantasy versions where you were better or wiser or different. They were never real, never possible, never actual options. Let them go, so you can see what actual options exist now, what real possibilities are available, what you can actually create going forward. Now, let's talk about forgiveness, self-forgiveness, permission to move forward, Release from the prison of guilt and regret. You've been waiting for permission to forgive yourself, waiting to feel like you've suffered enough, waiting for some external sign that you've earned the right to let go, waiting for someone or something to tell you it's okay to move forward. But that permission isn't coming from outside. No one else can release you from guilt. No external authority can grant you forgiveness. You're waiting for something that can only come from within. From you, for you, by you. You have to give yourself permission to forgive yourself, to let go of guilt, to release regret, to move forward. You have to decide that continued suffering serves no purpose, that you've learned what there is to learn, that it's time to grow rather than continue punishing. And I know that feels wrong. It feels too easy. It feels like you're letting yourself off the hook, like you're minimizing what you did, like you're saying it didn't matter or it wasn't wrong. But that's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness isn't saying what you did was okay. It's not minimizing mistakes. It's not pretending you didn't cause harm or make poor choices. Forgiveness is acknowledging what happened, taking responsibility for it, learning from it, and then choosing to move forward rather than stay stuck in punishment. Forgiveness is saying, I did that. It was wrong. It caused harm. I take responsibility. I've learned from it. And now I choose to grow, rather than continue suffering over what I can't change. I choose forward movement over indefinite punishment. That's forgiveness, not erasing the past, not saying it didn't matter, not avoiding responsibility, but taking responsibility, learning, and choosing growth over continued self-punishment. And you're allowed to make that choice. You really are. You don't need permission from anyone else. You don't need to suffer a predetermined amount. You don't need to earn the right through pain. You're allowed to choose forgiveness, to give yourself permission to move forward. So give it that permission to yourself, for yourself, right now. I forgive myself for being human, for being imperfect, for making mistakes with limited awareness, for not knowing then what I know now, for being who I was instead of who I am now. I forgive myself, and I give myself permission to move forward, to learn, to grow, to create new patterns, to build different outcomes. Say it. Mean it. Choose it. Not because you've earned it through suffering. Not because the past doesn't matter, but because continued punishment serves no purpose. Because you deserve to grow. Because moving forward is the only direction available. You can't change what was. You can only change what will be. And you can't change what will be while you're stuck in punishment over what was. So forgive yourself. Not to erase the past, but to free yourself to create a different future. You made mistakes. You're human. Humans make mistakes. All of them. Always. That's part of being human. Imperfect. Limited. Learning as you go. Making mistakes. Growing from them. That's the human experience. So forgive yourself for being human, for being imperfect, for making mistakes, for not having wisdom before you had experiences that taught wisdom, for being limited and flawed and still learning. That's okay. That's allowed. That's human. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy of forgiveness. You don't have to have always made right choices to deserve to move forward. You just have to be willing to learn, to grow, to do better going forward. That's enough. That makes you worthy of forgiveness, including self-forgiveness. So forgive yourself. Give yourself permission. Choose forward movement. That's allowed. You're allowed. Right now. Today. Without earning it through more suffering. Just choose it. Forgiveness. Permission. Forward movement. Choose it. Here's something important about old patterns. The patterns of guilt, of regret, of self-punishment, of living in the past, of attachment to what could have been. These are patterns, habits, ways of thinking you've practiced so long they've become automatic. And patterns can be changed. Habits can be replaced. Automatic thoughts can be interrupted and redirected. You're not stuck in old patterns forever. You can create new ones. But it requires conscious effort, intentional practice, repeated choosing of new responses. Every time guilt rises, you have a choice. Engage with it the old way. Spiral into regret and self-punishment, or interrupt the pattern. Acknowledge the guilt and consciously choose a different response. I notice guilt. I acknowledge what I'm feeling guilty about. I take responsibility. And I choose to respond with self-compassion and forward focus, rather than punishment. That's a new pattern, a new habit, a new automatic response. But it only becomes automatic through practice, through repeatedly choosing it, through interrupting the old pattern over and over until the new pattern becomes the default. Every time you catch yourself in what could have been thinking, you have a choice. continue mourning fantasy pasts, or redirect to actual futures. I notice I'm in what could have been thinking. I acknowledge that desire for things to have been different, and I consciously redirect to what can be. What are my actual options now? What can I actually create going forward? That's interrupting old patterns and creating new ones. That's replacing attachment to fantasy pasts with engagement with real futures. But it requires repeated practice, conscious choosing, over and over, until the redirection becomes automatic. Every time self-punishment starts, you have a choice. Continue the suffering, or choose self-compassion. I notice I'm punishing myself. I acknowledge I made a mistake. I take responsibility, and I choose self-compassion instead of punishment. I was human and imperfect. I did my best with the awareness I had. I've learned. Now, I move forward. That's a new pattern. Self-compassion instead of self-punishment. Learning instead of suffering. Growth instead of stagnation. But it requires practice. Choosing it repeatedly. Interrupting old patterns and consciously creating new ones. This is the work. Not waiting for guilt to disappear, not hoping regret will fade on its own, not expecting old patterns to just stop, but actively interrupting them, consciously choosing different responses, repeatedly practicing new patterns until they become new habits. It's not easy. Old patterns are deeply grooved, well practiced, automatic. They arise quickly and powerfully, and interrupting them requires effort, awareness, conscious choosing, over and over. But it's possible. Patterns can be changed. Habits can be replaced. Old automatic responses can become new automatic responses through practice, through repetition, through choosing differently over and over until the new way becomes the automatic way. So start practicing new patterns, self-forgiveness instead of self-punishment. What can be instead of what could have been. Self-compassion instead of guilt. Learning instead of regret. Forward focus instead of backward attachment. Practice these new patterns every time old patterns arise. Interrupt. Redirect. Choose differently, over and over, until new patterns become automatic, until self-forgiveness is your default, until forward focus is natural, until old patterns of guilt and regret are replaced by new patterns of growth and forward movement. That's how you release old patterns and create new habits. Not through suffering, through practice, through conscious choosing, through repeatedly interrupting old and choosing new. until new becomes automatic. So practice, starting now. New patterns, new habits, new automatic responses. Choose them repeatedly until they're your new default. That's how change happens. That's how you free yourself from the past. Through practice. Choose it. Assisting. Embarked. If you tell you what you need to understand about the person you were when you made those mistakes, the person you're judging so harshly, the person you're punishing with endless guilt and regret, that person was doing their best with the awareness they had, with the tools they possessed, with the circumstances they were navigating, with the level of development they'd achieved. They were doing their best, even if their best wasn't good enough, even if their best caused harm, even if their best created problems. It was still their best, with what they had at that moment. You can't judge past you by present standards. You can't expect past you to have had present awareness. You can't hold past you accountable for not knowing what they could only learn through the experience of making those mistakes. Past you didn't know what present you knows. Past you hadn't yet learned what experience taught you. Past you was less developed, less aware, less capable than present you. That's how growth works. That's how humans develop. That's the nature of learning. So judging past you by present standards is unfair. Punishing past you for not having wisdom that could only come through experience is cruel. Expecting past you to have made choices that required awareness they didn't yet possess is impossible. You're not who you were then. You've grown, learned, developed. The experiences you regret, the mistakes you made, they taught you. They created growth. They developed capabilities you didn't have before. They made you who you are now. Present you exists because of past you's experiences, including the mistakes, including the failures, including the poor choices. Those experiences created learning. That learning created growth. That growth created present you. So you can't hate past you without denying the growth that created present you. You can't punish past you without rejecting the learning that developed present you. Past you and present you aren't separate. They're connected. Past you's experiences created present you's wisdom. So instead of punishing past you, thank them. Thank them for trying, for doing their best with what they had, for making mistakes that created learning, for experiencing failure that developed wisdom, for being imperfect in ways that taught growth. Past you was human, imperfect, limited, learning, just like all humans, making mistakes, falling short, causing harm despite good intentions. That's being human. That's the nature of learning and growth. That's how wisdom develops. So have compassion for past you. They were doing their best. They didn't know what you know now. They didn't have the wisdom experience would teach. They were who they could be at that point in their development. And that's okay. That's human. That's how growth works. Present you can make better choices because past you made worse ones and learned from them. Present you has wisdom because past you had experiences that taught it. Present you is more developed because past you went through growth-creating difficulties. So stop hating past you. Stop punishing past you. Stop judging past you by present standards. Have compassion for who they were, gratitude for what they learned, acceptance of their limitations, and use the wisdom their experiences created to make better choices going forward. That's how you integrate the past. Not through punishment, through compassion. Not through judgment, through gratitude. Not through endless regret, through acceptance and forward growth. Past you was human and imperfect. Present you is more developed because of past you's experiences. Future you will be even more developed because of present you's choices. That's growth. That's the human journey. That's how it works. So have compassion for all versions of you, past, present, future, all human, all imperfect, all doing their best, all growing, all learning, all worthy of compassion rather than punishment. Let me tell you what becomes possible when you release the past and forgive yourself. When you let go of old patterns of guilt and regret, when you stop punishing yourself and choose forward movement, you have energy for the present. Energy that was consumed by guilt and regret is now available for actual living, for engaging with what's actually here, for creating what you actually want. That energy was trapped in the past. Now it's available for the present. You can learn from mistakes instead of just suffering over them. When you're not stuck in punishment, you can extract lessons, understand what went wrong, see what you'd do differently, apply that wisdom going forward. Learning becomes possible. when suffering isn't consuming all your energy. You can make different choices now. When you're not repeating old patterns, you can create new ones. When you're not stuck in past-focused guilt, you can make present-focused choices. Different choices. Better choices. Choices informed by learning rather than dictated by unprocessed regret. You can build different outcomes. Different patterns create different results. When you change your internal patterns, your external reality shifts. New habits create new outcomes. Forward focus creates forward movement. Actual progress becomes possible. You can connect with others authentically. When you've forgiven yourself, you can be real with others, not hiding past mistakes, not performing perfection, but acknowledging humanity, sharing struggles, connecting through shared imperfection. Real relationships become possible. You can be present in your own life, not trapped in past moments, not living in regret, not consumed by what could have been, but actually here, in this moment, in this life, in this actual present. Presence becomes possible when you're not imprisoned in the past. You can offer yourself compassion. When you stop punishing, you can start caring. When you release judgment, you can practice kindness. When you forgive, you can be gentle. Self-compassion becomes possible when self-punishment ends. You can grow. Real growth, not just suffering and calling it growth, but actual development, new capabilities, expanded awareness, deeper wisdom. Growth becomes possible when you're not stuck repeating old patterns of guilt and regret. You can help others. When you've navigated forgiveness, you can guide others through it. When you've released guilt, you can help others release theirs. When you've moved forward, you can show others the path. Service becomes possible from healed places. You can live, actually live, not just exist in punishment, not just survive in regret, but live, engage, create, connect, experience, grow. Life becomes possible when you're released from the prison of the past. That's what's waiting. That's what becomes possible. That's what forgiveness creates. Energy, learning, different choices, better outcomes, authentic connection, presence, self-compassion, growth, service, life. But you can only access those possibilities if you release the past, if you forgive yourself, if you let go of old patterns, if you choose forward movement. So choose it, not someday, now, today. Forgive yourself. Release guilt. Let go of regret. Stop punishing. Choose forward movement. Choose new patterns. Choose life. That's what's waiting. That's what's possible. That's what you deserve. Not because you're perfect, but because you're human. And humans deserve to grow, to learn, to move forward, to live, not to stay trapped in unchangeable pasts, but to create changeable futures. So forgive yourself. Release the past. Choose forward. That's where life is. That's where growth happens. That's where you deserve to be. Not trapped in what was, but creating what can be. Choose it. Now. You're allowed. You're worthy. You're ready. GCC. Tonight, as you lie here carrying the weight of past mistakes, holding on to guilt and regret, attached to what could have been, I want you to do something. I want you to practice letting go. Practice forgiveness. Practice forward focus. Take a breath, and as you exhale, imagine releasing some of the guilt, some of the regret, some of the attachment to fantasy pasts and unchangeable histories. Just for tonight, just while you rest. You can pick them back up tomorrow if you really want to. But tonight, set them down. Now think about the mistake you're most guilty about, the choice you most regret, the past you're most attached to changing. Bring it to mind. Acknowledge it. I did that. I made that choice. That happened. Now acknowledge what you've learned from it. What wisdom came from that experience? What do you understand now that you didn't understand then? What would you do differently? That's learning. That's growth. That mistake created that wisdom. Now say to yourself, I was doing my best with the awareness I had then. I didn't know what I know now. I couldn't make choices that required wisdom I hadn't yet gained. I was human and imperfect. And that's okay. I forgive myself for being human, for being limited, for learning through experience, including mistakes. Say it. Mean it. Choose it. Forgiveness. For yourself. For being human. For being imperfect. For making mistakes that created learning. Now release what could have been. That fantasy version where you made better choices. Acknowledge it. I wish things had been different. I wanted better outcomes. And then release it. But that version never existed. It was never real. It was never possible. I release it. I accept what actually happened. I work with actual reality, not fantasy alternatives. Let it go. The imagined past, the fantasy version, the if only timeline. Release it. Accept actual history. Work with real reality. Now redirect to what can be. What are my actual options now? What can I actually create going forward? What choices can I actually make? What outcomes are actually possible? Shift from fantasy pasts to real futures. From what could have been to what still can be. Feel the difference between living in regret and choosing forward focus. Between punishing yourself and choosing self-compassion. Between attachment to unchangeable pasts and engagement with changeable futures. This is the practice. This is the work. Not waiting for guilt to disappear, but actively choosing forgiveness. Not hoping regret will fade, but consciously redirecting to forward focus. Not staying stuck, but choosing movement. Practice this tonight, tomorrow, every day, every time guilt rises, every time regret surfaces, every time you find yourself in what could have been thinking. Practice this. Acknowledge. Take responsibility. Choose forgiveness. Release fantasy pasts. Redirect to real futures. Over and over, until it becomes automatic. Until forgiveness is your default. Until forward focus is natural. Until old patterns of guilt and regret are replaced by new patterns of self-compassion and growth. You're practicing now. Letting go. Forgiving. Redirecting. That's the work. Do it. Tonight. Tomorrow. Every time. Until new patterns become old patterns. Until release becomes natural. Until forward focus is automatic. You're not trapped in the past. You're choosing to stay there. So choose differently. Choose release. Choose forgiveness. Choose forward. That's allowed. That's possible. That's your work. Do it. Now. Tonight. practice letting go. Let me tell you what you need to believe, what's true, even when guilt makes you doubt it, what remains real, even when regret argues against it. You are not your past mistakes. You're not defined by poor choices. You're not determined by past failures. You're a growing, learning, developing human who made mistakes as part of the growth process. That's who you are, not your mistakes. A human, learning through experience, including errors. Your past doesn't determine your future. What you did doesn't dictate what you'll do. Who you were doesn't limit who you're becoming. The past informs the future through lessons learned, but it doesn't determine the future through unchangeable destiny. You have choices, real choices, to do differently, to be differently, to create differently. You've learned, you've grown. You're different now than you were then. The mistakes created learning. The failures created wisdom. The poor choices created growth. You're not who you were when you made those mistakes. You've developed, changed, grown. That's real. Forgiveness is possible, not earned through suffering, but chosen through compassion. You don't have to earn the right to forgive yourself. You just have to choose it. Decide suffering serves no purpose. Choose learning over punishment. Choose growth over stagnation. Forgiveness is available right now through choosing. You deserve to move forward, not because you're perfect, but because you're human. And humans deserve to grow, to learn, to create new futures, to live, not to stay imprisoned in unchangeable pasts. To move forward. You deserve that, simply by being human. New patterns are possible. Old habits can be replaced. Automatic responses can be retrained. Through practice, through conscious choosing, through repeated interruption of old and selection of new. New patterns are possible. You're creating them right now. Through practicing, through choosing differently. What's done is done. Can't be changed, can't be undone, can't be remade. It just is. Unchangeable. And fighting unchangeable reality creates suffering. Accepting unchangeable reality creates peace. What's done is done. Accept it. Not because you like it, because it's real. Because acceptance is the only alternative to endless suffering over what can't be changed. What can be is up to you. What choices you make now. What patterns you create going forward. What future you build. That's not determined by the past. That's influenced by learning from the past, but created by choices in the present. What can be is up to you. Choose well. You're worthy of compassion, including self-compassion. worthy of kindness, including self-kindness, worthy of forgiveness, including self-forgiveness. Not because you're perfect, because you're human, and humans are worthy of compassion, including from themselves. You're worthy. Believe that. These truths. Hold them, especially when guilt argues, when regret insists otherwise, when old patterns try to convince you you're trapped. These truths remain. You're not your mistakes. Your past doesn't determine your future. You've learned and grown. Forgiveness is possible. You deserve forward movement. New patterns are possible. What's done is done. What can be is up to you. You're worthy of compassion. Believe these truths. Live from these truths. Let these truths guide you out of the prison of past mistakes, into the freedom of forward movement. Believe them. They're true. Even when guilt argues, even when regret insists, they're true. You're not your past. You're your choices now. Choose well. There's something you haven't fully realized yet. You don't return to the past because you enjoy suffering. You return to the past because it feels familiar. Because your mind has repeated those memories so many times that they've become a home. A painful one, but a home nonetheless. That's how the human brain works. It clings to patterns it already knows, even patterns that hurt. Because familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar possibility. You're not stuck because you're weak. You're stuck because the past became a mental habit. Your mind keeps replaying the same mistakes in the hope that understanding them deeper will finally heal them. But replay is not healing. Replaying only strengthens the mental loop. You're not gaining insight. You're reinforcing a wound. You've confused repetition with resolution. You keep thinking, if I think about it one more time, I'll finally make peace with it. But that's not how peace works. You don't think your way out of regret. You don't analyze your way out of guilt. You don't solve emotional wounds with mental punishment. You heal by creating new meaning, not by revisiting old pain. And here's the part you need to understand. Your brain is replaying the past because it doesn't feel safe in the present yet. It's protecting you in the only way it knows, by focusing on what already happened. Because the past can't surprise you. The future can. Your mind is not your enemy. It's overprotective, yes. Fear-driven, yes. But it's trying to shield you from new disappointment by keeping you attached to old disappointment. It thinks it's keeping you safe. But safety built on old pain is not safety. it's imprisonment. You need a different kind of safety now. Not the safety of replaying what cannot be changed, but the safety of allowing yourself to move toward what can be created. You won't stop returning to the past by forcing yourself to forget it. You'll stop when the present becomes a place your mind trusts. And that requires something you've avoided for a long time. Building new patterns that don't depend on regret. Patterns like choosing reflection instead of rumination, choosing self-compassion instead of self-blame, choosing grounded action instead of emotional looping, choosing what now instead of what if. The past is over, but the emotional pattern connected to it is still alive inside you. And part 10 is about this realization. You don't heal by erasing what happened. You heal by breaking the pattern that forces you to relive it. The past doesn't need to change. Your relationship to it does. And that starts now, with awareness, with choice, with new mental pathways that pull you forward instead of backward. You're not escaping the past. You're outgrowing it. There are moments when you feel exhausted without knowing why. Moments when your body feels heavy, your thoughts feel slow, and your emotions feel louder than anything around you. And you tell yourself that you're just tired, just overwhelmed, just having a difficult day. But the truth is deeper. You are carrying things your mind has tried to ignore for years. The body remembers what the mind refuses to process. And that is why, out of nowhere, you feel a wave of heaviness that doesn't match the moment you're in. It's not the present that is weighing you down. It's everything you never gave yourself the space to release. You have taught yourself to survive every situation without ever pausing to understand how it affected you. You moved on too quickly. You buried the impact. You forced yourself to remain strong because you didn't feel you had another option. But suppressing pain doesn't erase it. It transforms it into emotional fatigue, into mental fog, into unexplained sadness, into the feeling of being not enough, even when you are trying your best. You carry the tone of old conversations where you were misunderstood. You carry the weight of expectations you never agreed to. You carry the guilt of moments you still judge yourself for. You carry versions of yourself that didn't know better, but you punish them as if they did. This is why you're tired. Not because your life is unbearable, but because your emotional storage has never been emptied. You keep adding to it without ever releasing anything. And here's the part you rarely tell yourself. You are allowed to put things down. You are allowed to admit that something hurt you. You are allowed to say, "That affected me more than I realized." You are allowed to feel, without apologizing for it. Ignoring the past doesn't make you stronger. Facing it doesn't make you weak. Strength is not the absence of emotion. Strength is the ability to look at what you've been avoiding and say, "I'm ready to understand this," instead of running from it. Because until you acknowledge what you've been carrying, you will continue to feel the weight without knowing its source. Healing begins the moment you stop pretending that everything is fine. You don't have to unpack it all at once. You don't have to solve everything today. You simply need to recognize that your exhaustion is not laziness, not weakness, not failure. It is accumulated emotional weight asking to be released. And that awareness, quiet as it may seem, is the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where you no longer carry what doesn't belong to you. A chapter where you stop punishing yourself for wounds you never asked for. A chapter where you learn, slowly, how to let your body rest from the battles your mind kept fighting. You're not broken. You're overloaded. And that can change. Starting now. There are times when you look at your life and feel like you're not moving fast enough. Like everyone else has already figured out what they want, what they're doing, where they're going. And you're still trying to understand why you feel stuck. You tell yourself that you should be further by now, stronger by now, healed by now. You judge yourself harshly for not being at a place you think you should be. But here is something you haven't realized. You're not failing. You're finally facing the parts of yourself you used to run from. Growth doesn't feel like growth when you're in it. It feels like confusion, like uncertainty, like standing in a room you no longer fit in, but haven't yet left. You're not behind, you're in transition. This stage is uncomfortable because you can't go back to the version of yourself who accepted less. But you also can't jump instantly into the version of yourself you're becoming. You're in the space between. The space where letting go feels heavy and moving forward feels unclear. The space where nothing looks certain, but everything is quietly shifting. This isn't failure. This is recalibration. You are learning how to respond differently to triggers, to disappointments, to expectations, to old patterns. That learning feels messy at first. When you stop running, the things you avoided finally come into view. That's why this phase feels harder than anything before it. Not because you're breaking down, but because your awareness is opening. Awareness always feels like pain before it feels like clarity. It shows you what needs healing, what needs boundaries, what needs to be released. And that can feel overwhelming. But overwhelming is not failure. It is information. You are slowly realizing that the path you want requires a different version of you than the one you used to be. A version who doesn't abandon themselves. A version who doesn't settle for emotional scraps. A version who doesn't shrink to make others comfortable. A version who doesn't follow old patterns out of habit. You are building that version now. Piece by piece. Choice by choice. awareness by awareness. And of course it feels difficult. Transformations always do. Nothing about becoming is supposed to feel smooth. It demands honesty. It demands discomfort. It demands courage to look at your own reflection without turning away. So no, you're not failing. You're shedding. You're unlearning. You're rewiring. You're holding yourself accountable in ways you never could before. This is the work that changes everything. Not instantly, but inevitably. The future version of you is being built in moments like this, where you feel lost but refuse to give up, where you feel uncertain but still choose awareness, where you feel tired but continue moving inward instead of outward. You are not failing. You are becoming. And becoming always feels like breaking before it feels like growth. There are days when your emotions feel intense in ways you can't explain. Days when you react faster than you expect. When something small feels too heavy. When an old memory appears and pulls your mind into a place you thought you had already left behind. In moments like this, you start to believe that you're losing control, that you're slipping backward, that you're becoming weaker, that your healing is undone. But that's not what's happening. What's really happening is that you're letting go of the things that once controlled you. Every time you feel discomfort, it's because an old pattern is surfacing for the last time. Old ways of thinking that used to guide your decisions. Old ways of protecting yourself that no longer fit. Old emotional habits that once felt necessary, but are now becoming impossible to carry. You're not losing control. You're becoming aware of what used to control you without your permission. Awareness always feels chaotic at first, because now you see the truth clearly. The behaviors you tolerated, the beliefs you inherited, the emotional reactions you copied from past wounds. And when you see it, you can't unsee it. That's why it feels heavy. That's why it feels overwhelming. Awareness removes the comfort of ignorance, but it replaces it with the possibility of change. Your emotional intensity right now is not a sign of collapse. It's a sign of release. Your mind is untangling itself from years of automatic responses. Your heart is unlearning attachments to pain it once normalized. Your body is unwinding from survival mode it lived in for far too long. And yes, it feels unfamiliar. It feels raw. It feels like you're stepping out of a version of yourself that no longer fits. Because you are. You're stepping into someone new. Someone more conscious, more stable, more aligned, more honest with themselves. This process requires a kind of internal dismantling. You can't become the next version of yourself without releasing the one who came before. And letting go always feels like losing control, because you're no longer holding tightly to what once defined you. But control is not the same as stability. You don't need to control everything to feel grounded. You don't need to suppress your emotions to feel calm. You don't need to hold the old version of you to feel safe. Real stability comes from trust. Trust in your awareness. Trust in your growth. Trust that you can feel deeply without being consumed by it. Your emotions right now are not signs of weakness. They are signs of awakening. They are indicators that your internal system is reorganizing itself around a new way of living, a healthier one, a clearer one, a more conscious one. So don't misunderstand this phase. You're not unraveling. You're restructuring. You're not falling apart. You're shedding what no longer fits. You're not losing control. You're reclaiming it. And this version of you that's taking shape now will thank you for allowing this discomfort instead of running from it. You are not going backward. You are breaking free. Textiles is a belief inside you that didn't start from nowhere. A belief that whispers, sometimes quietly, sometimes sharply, that you are difficult to love, that you require too much, that you feel too deeply, that you react too intensely, that you care more than you should. But that belief wasn't born from your nature. It was shaped by your experiences. It came from situations where you gave effort but received silence, where you offered honesty but were met with avoidance, where you expressed emotions but someone labeled them as too much. You started to think that wanting connection was burdening others. You started to believe that expressing needs was asking for too much. You started to feel that showing your heart was a disadvantage instead of a strength. But here is the truth you have overlooked for years. You are not difficult to love. You were simply surrounded by people who loved you in limited ways. They loved you based on their capacity, not your worth. They responded according to their emotional maturity, not your value. They gave according to what they could offer, not what you deserved. And because of that, you began adjusting yourself to their limitations. You lowered your volume. You softened your needs. You silenced your questions. You erased parts of yourself just to fit the shape of someone else's comfort. This is why you feel hard to love. Because you were always the one doing the emotional work. You were always the one who understood first, apologized first, forgave first, fixed things first, carried the weight no one acknowledged. One-sided effort teaches you the wrong lesson. It convinces you that love must be earned, not received. That affection must be proven, not naturally given. That your softness is a responsibility, not a gift. But the truth is simpler than you think. You are easy to love for the person who chooses you fully. You are easy to love for the person who meets you halfway. You are easy to love for the person whose heart is not afraid of your depth. Your emotions are not too much. They're honest. Your needs are not inconvenient. They're human. Your desire for connection is not clinginess. It's courage. You were never hard to love. You were just giving love to people who did not know how to hold it. And now you are learning something important. Love is not supposed to feel like a test you're failing. It's not supposed to feel like a quiet ache. It's not supposed to feel like begging for basics. Real connection does not require you to shrink your heart to avoid overwhelming someone. Real connection recognizes your depth as a strength, not a burden. So stop assuming you're difficult to care for. You're not. You simply haven't been met with the kind of love that matches your capacity. And when you finally are, you will understand that the problem was never you. It was the environments that asked you to dim your light so they could stay comfortable. You're not hard to love. You're just done accepting love that's too small for you. For a long time, you trained yourself to stay calm even when you were hurting, to stay silent even when something felt wrong, to stay composed even when your heart was breaking in places no one could see. You learned to numb emotions because feeling them fully didn't seem safe. You learned to hold everything in because expressing it seemed inconvenient for others. You learned to stay rational because letting yourself feel made you vulnerable in ways you weren't ready for. But now, your emotions rise more easily. A small trigger feels bigger. A minor disappointment echoes deeply. A simple memory can shift your entire mood. And you start telling yourself that you're becoming too emotional, too sensitive, too reactive, too affected. But that's not the truth. What's really happening is this. You are finally feeling what your past self suppressed. Your emotional system is waking up from years of survival mode. And waking up never feels graceful. When a numb heart starts to feel again, it feels everything. The old wounds, the forgotten pain, the unmet needs, the buried grief. You're not breaking down. You're thawing. This discomfort you feel is not emotional instability. It's emotional awareness. You're finally acknowledging what your mind learned to ignore just to get through life. It's not too much. It's simply unfamiliar. You never learned how to feel without fear. You never learned how to express without guilt. You never learned how to honor your emotions without apologizing for them. So now, when your emotions rise, you interpret them as a problem, when in reality, they are information, signals, reminders, parts of you asking to be understood instead of silenced. Feeling deeply is not a flaw. It's a form of intelligence. It means you're present. It means you're human. It means you're no longer ignoring the internal truths you needed to hear years ago. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. And this is the phase where feeling returns. Not to overwhelm you, but to free you. You're not overreacting, you're processing. You're not too sensitive, you're finally receptive. You're not losing control, you're gaining awareness. The version of you who suppressed everything seemed strong on the outside, but paid the price internally. This version of you, the one who feels deeply, is actually the one moving toward healing. Because emotional numbness is not peace, it's just silence. And silence is not freedom. Let your emotions rise. Let them move through you. Let them speak the truths you spent years avoiding. This isn't your breaking. This is your restoration, your emotional clarity, your return to yourself. You are not too emotional. You are finally connected to a part of you that always deserved to be felt. There's a shift happening inside you that you don't always recognize. You've been withdrawing, becoming quieter, spending more time alone, moving inward instead of outward. And for a moment, you worried that something was wrong with you, that you were isolating, that you were becoming distant, that you were losing interest in people and life itself. But look closer. This isn't disconnection. This is recentering. For years, your identity was shaped around the needs of others. You were the one who listened, who understood, who adjusted, who carried emotional weight without being asked, without being acknowledged. You made space for everyone else until there was barely any space left for yourself. And now, your soul is asking for a pause, a chance to hear your own voice without all the external noise, a chance to rebuild your boundaries from the inside out, a chance to understand what you truly want without the influence of people who once defined your choices. You're not pulling away because you're cold. You're pulling away because you're tired of living at a distance from your own truth. This inward shift isn't avoidance, it's alignment. You're learning to trust yourself again. You're learning to make decisions that come from your own clarity instead of someone else's expectations. You're learning to choose your peace without guilt. You're learning to protect your energy after years of overextending it. This is why silence feels different now. It's not loneliness, it's recovery. It's not emptiness, it's grounding. It's not shutting people out, it's letting yourself in. There are parts of you that never had a chance to speak because everyone else's needs spoke louder. Now those parts are finally rising, and they need space. They need time. They need attention that you used to give away to the wrong places. It's normal if you don't want to give explanations anymore. It's normal if certain conversations feel draining. It's normal if old circles don't feel right. It's normal if your sensitivity to energy is stronger than before. This isn't detachment. This is discernment. You're realizing who adds to your peace and who disrupts it, who respects your boundaries and who only respects your usefulness, who supports your growth and who prefers your old, smaller self. And with that clarity comes distance, necessary distance, healthy distance. Distance that protects the version of you that is finally emerging. You're not pulling away from the world. You're pulling away from patterns that kept you disconnected from yourself. You don't need to feel guilty for choosing solitude. You don't need to apologize for conserving your energy. You don't need to feel wrong for needing space to breathe, to think, to recalibrate. This is what healing looks like from the inside. Quiet shifts, soft boundaries, deep honesty, a slow return to your own center. You're not disappearing. You're rebuilding. You're not rejecting connection. You're redefining it. You're not pulling away. You're finally coming back to yourself. There is a fear inside you that you rarely say out loud. It isn't the fear of abandonment, not in the way people assume. You've lived through enough departures to know you can survive them. You've watched people come and go, promises fade, connections shift, and you're still here. So no, your deepest fear isn't that someone will leave. Your deepest fear is that you will lose yourself again, trying to make them stay. You remember what it felt like to shrink your voice to avoid conflict, to soften your boundaries so someone wouldn't feel uncomfortable, to carry emotional weight that wasn't yours just to keep a relationship intact. You remember bending until you forgot your own shape. You remember saying yes when your whole body was whispering no. You remember giving chances long after you ran out of reasons. And now, whenever someone gets close, a quiet part of you wonders, how much of myself will I lose if I let this person in? It's not distrust in them. It's the memory of how quickly you abandoned yourself in the past. This is why you hesitate. This is why you pull back. This is why you stay cautious. Even when someone seems genuine, you are not avoiding connection. You are protecting your identity, your peace, your emotional clarity, your self-respect. You're afraid of disappearing inside someone else's needs again, afraid of choosing them at the expense of yourself, afraid of repeating patterns you've worked so hard to outgrow. This fear doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're aware. It means you've learned. It means you finally understand that losing yourself is more painful than losing someone else. And here's the truth you're slowly accepting. You can let people in without abandoning yourself. You can care deeply without sacrificing your boundaries. You can love without erasing your identity. You are allowed to stay whole, even when you're close to someone. You are allowed to speak your truth, even if it risks disappointing them. You are allowed to walk away from anything that asks you to silence your needs. This time, connection must feel balanced, reciprocal, mutual, respectful. This time, you're not choosing connection at the cost of self. You're choosing connection that honors self. And you know what? The right people won't require you to shrink. They won't ask you to diminish your needs. They won't punish you for having boundaries. They won't take advantage of your softness. They will meet you, not drain you. They will understand you, not rewrite you. They will value your identity, not consume it. Your fear is not a barrier. It's a compass. It reminds you of the difference between love that lifts you and love that erases you. You're not afraid of people leaving. You're afraid of losing yourself. But this time, you're not going to. You've come too far to disappear again. People tell you that you overthink. They say you analyze too much, worry too much, prepare too much, double-check too much. But they don't understand that your mind learned this habit from real experiences. Moments when you trusted too quickly, when you were blindsided, when something painful happened without warning. Overthinking isn't your personality, it's your protection. Your brain is trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows how, by anticipating every outcome, predicting every possibility, and preparing for every scenario, so you don't get hurt the same way again. This isn't irrational. It's trauma logic. It comes from a place of survival, not weakness. You didn't choose to overthink. Your experiences taught you that certainty is safer than trust. Preparation is safer than surrender. And distance is safer than believing too quickly. And yet, at the same time, part of you is tired. Tired of carrying the responsibility for every possible outcome. Tired of scanning every detail. Tired of replaying conversations long after they were over. Your mind is exhausted because it has been playing the role of both protector and predictor for far too long. But here's the truth you rarely tell yourself. You overthink because you never learned how to feel safe. You weren't taught how to trust easily. You weren't taught how to rest emotionally. You weren't taught how to let life unfold without monitoring every step. So your mind fills the gaps with analysis, with preparation, with questions, with scenarios. Not because you want to, but because you never had a stable environment that made trust feel natural. Your overthinking is not a problem to eliminate. It's a signal to understand. A sign that your nervous system is still in defense mode. But awareness is the turning point. When you know why you overthink, you can begin to change how you relate to your thoughts. You don't need to silence them. You need to soften the fear behind them. You need to remind your mind that not everything is a threat. Not everyone is a danger. Not every situation is a test of your survival skills. Little by little, your thoughts will calm when your inner world feels safer. Not safe because nothing bad will happen. Safe because you finally trust that you can handle life without predicting every move. And you can. You're more capable than your fear allows you to believe. You've survived moments you never prepared for. You've handled situations your mind didn't predict. You've grown through challenges that no amount of planning could have prevented. Overthinking was a response to a life that demanded vigilance. But that life is behind you now. Slowly, gently, you're learning a different pace, a different rhythm, a different relationship with your own mind. You're not overthinking, you're healing. You're relearning safety. You're building trust in yourself, in your intuition, in your awareness, in your ability to navigate whatever comes next. This phase isn't about forcing your mind to be quiet. It's about teaching it that it doesn't have to protect you from everything anymore. You're not overthinking, you're unwinding old fear. And that is the beginning of true mental freedom. There is a part of you that believes you are complicated, that your emotions are tangled, your thoughts too layered, your reactions too hard for others to read. But this belief didn't come from nowhere. It came from years of learning that being misunderstood was easier than being honest. It came from experiences where your truth was dismissed, your feelings minimized, your needs labeled as too much. So you adapted. You stopped explaining. You stopped expressing. You stopped sharing the full version of what you were thinking and feeling. You became quiet not because you lacked depth, but because no one met you at the level where your depth existed. You learned to simplify yourself for people who never had the capacity to understand the real you. You learned to hold your emotions because you feared the reaction. You learned to hide your inner world to avoid being judged for simply being human. And over time, that hiding became second nature. You started to believe your true self was too complex, when in reality, you were simply unexpressed. You're not difficult to understand. You're simply unused to being understood. When someone asks how you feel, you give the short version, the clean version, the safe version, the version that doesn't require vulnerability or deeper explanation. Not because you don't want connection, but because you were trained to expect disappointment when you open up. You're cautious not because you can't trust, but because you trusted the wrong people at the wrong times and paid the price quietly. You didn't become complicated. You became protective. And behind that protection is someone who feels deeply, someone who thinks with care, someone who notices everything, someone who loves with intention, someone who wants to be seen clearly, wholly, honestly. You just haven't had many spaces where your depth was welcomed instead of judged. But here's the truth. The right people will never find you complicated. They will find you honest. They will find you layered in meaningful ways. They will appreciate what others overlooked. Your silence will make sense to them. Your emotions will feel valid. Your inner world will not be too much. Your thoughts will not be too deep. Your sensitivity will not be a flaw. The right people won't require you to dilute yourself just to be understood. You won't need to translate your feelings into something smaller. You won't need to hide the parts of you that feel too loud. You won't need to pretend you're less than you are. Because the truth is, Your complexity is not confusion. It's clarity that hasn't been received yet. Your depth is not heaviness. It's truth spoken in a world that prefers shallow answers. Your emotions are not overwhelming. They are honest in ways many people aren't ready to be. You do not need to simplify yourself to be loved. You do not need to shrink to be accepted. You do not need to hide to be safe. You're not difficult to understand. You're just waiting for a space where you no longer have to hide. And that space will come, slowly, naturally. When you choose connection that doesn't require you to abandon yourself. This time, you won't disappear inside someone else's limitations. You are learning to stay whole, even when you let others in. You're not difficult. You're just finally ready to be seen as you are. So here we are, at the end of our time together tonight. And I hope something has shifted for you. I hope you see that you're not trapped in the past, that you can forgive yourself, that you can release attachment to what could have been, that you can create new patterns instead of staying stuck in old guilt and regret. You've been carrying this weight, this guilt, this regret, this attachment to unchangeable pasts and fantasy alternatives, punishing yourself, suffering over mistakes, mourning realities that never existed, stuck in old patterns that keep you trapped. But you don't have to carry it anymore. You can set it down, not because the past doesn't matter, but because carrying it serves no purpose, changes nothing, helps no one. You can release it, forgive yourself, move forward. Sleep tonight knowing you're not your past mistakes, knowing you've learned and grown, knowing you're different now than you were then, knowing you deserve forgiveness and forward movement, knowing new patterns are possible. Tomorrow, when guilt rises again, practice what we talked about tonight. Acknowledge, take responsibility, choose forgiveness, release fantasy pasts, redirect to real futures. Practice new patterns, interrupt old habits, choose differently. Do this repeatedly, over and over, until new responses become automatic, until forgiveness is your default, until forward focus is natural, until old patterns are replaced by new ones. That's the work. Practice it. Stop punishing yourself. Stop suffering over what can't be changed. Stop mourning what never existed. Start forgiving. Start learning. Start growing. Start creating new patterns and new futures. You were human and imperfect. You made mistakes. You learned from them. You grew. You're different now. That's okay. That's good. That's how growth works. Forgive yourself for being human, for learning through experience, for making mistakes that created wisdom. Release what could have been. Accept what was. Engage with what can be. Let go of fantasy pasts. Embrace real presence and possible futures. That's freedom. That's growth. That's life. You deserve to be free from the past, free from guilt, free from regret, free from attachment to unchangeable histories, free to choose, to grow, to create, to live. You deserve that freedom. So claim it. Through forgiveness, through release, through forward focus, through new patterns. Claim your freedom, your right to grow, your opportunity to create different futures. Claim it. Now. Tonight. Tomorrow. Every day. Good night, dear friend. You're not your past mistakes. You've learned. You've grown. You're different now. And you deserve to forgive yourself, to release the past, to move forward, to create new patterns, to build new futures. The past is done, can't be changed. Accept it, learn from it, release it, move forward from it. That's your work. That's your path. That's your freedom. You're not trapped. You're choosing to stay. So choose differently. Choose forgiveness. Choose release. Choose forward. Choose new patterns. Choose growth. Choose life. You're worthy of that choice, capable of that choice, ready for that choice. So make it. Forgive yourself. Release the past. Move forward. Create new patterns. Build new futures. You're not your past. You're your choices now. Choose well. Choose freedom. Choose growth. Choose forward. You deserve it. You're capable of it. You're ready for it. So do it. Starting tonight. Starting now. Forgive yourself. Release old patterns. Create new habits. Move forward. Live. Sweet dreams. You're free. You just have to choose it.